Today, we're talking bourbon trades. Where do I find the trades? How do I determine value of the bottles I'm trading? And what deals have I been able to get done? We're covering all that today. Welcome back to another episode of Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner, and today we're talking about bourbon trades. That's right. I've gotten a bunch of messages in the comments about trading bourbon, and I've seen in a few different Discords other people wanting to trade bourbon. People are asking, like, what about values of bottles? What do bottles usually trade for? How do you determine value? So all those are, very important things to know, like when you're first getting into trading bourbon, because it took me a little while to get my feet wet out there, and now that I have, I've been really happy with some of the deals I've been able to get done. But before we get into the video, I just want to say thank you so much to all the subscribers out there. The channel's been growing like crazy. We're already over 1,300 subscribers. We're getting close to that 2,000 subscriber mark. And I just want to say thank you so much. I love interacting with all of y'all in the comments. It really means the world to me. So I just want to say thank you so much. And I'm going to keep pumping out the content. So also, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and get subscribed, because I thoroughly enjoy making these videos, and every subscriber means the world to me. But anyways, back to today's video. First off, what I'm drinking right now is a Michters barrel strength rye. This is not a bottle that I traded for, but I do love this bottle, and I don't really visit it as much as I should. But it drinks very similar to a bourbon. You get a bunch of amazing rye notes. Again, it kind of is taking a little bit of the back seat to all like those caramels and vanillas that just come through so strong in this glass. But it's an amazing pour. Coming in right around like that 108 proof. Fantastic bottle. They're in that like $100 price range. That's MSRP. I know secondary is in the closer to 200. But still, I think it's a great deal if you can find it right around retail. Anyway, so back to the trades. So first, what bottles do people like trading for? And obviously there are bottles that people don't have. And the great thing about trading is whenever you're traveling, going somewhere, it's always great to look on local forums. I personally like to use Craigslist. I know that's a lot of people frown upon it, but it is effective, and there are a lot of people on there, that are doing bourbon trades. So anytime I'm going to a different state, because every state has different allocations, so people have a lot better access to some bottles that I can't find here in Virginia, and so on and so forth. So that's been very instrumental to me for being able to acquire new bottles. But yeah, so people usually like to trade up is kind of what I've been seeing. And what do I mean by trade up? Meaning like if you're offering like 2 to 3 to 4, like Buffalo Traces, a lot of people will just shoo you away there. A lot of people are looking for more of those like highly allocated bottles that are kind of difficult to find. So if you're trying to like crack into that area, you need to have something pretty decent to bring to the table. Now, one thing that I've noticed, I found a couple guys, that they do love Blanton's, because I know like the secondary value on Blanton's can be pretty high for the price value. So a lot of people will actually take like 3, 4, 5 Blanton's for various bottles. Like the CYPB, they want like 6 Blanton's. I know it's still a lot, but that's just an example. So if you do have a collection of Blanton's and you don't drink them, you might be able to trade them, bundle them up to get you something great. Second off, when you're going into a trade, how do you determine value? Now, of course, you can't always go by MSRP because, like the entire Buffalo Trace line, you have a bottle of Stagg Jr, which here in Virginia, it's like $52.99, but a bottle of Blanton's is $65. Like, I don't know many people that, are going to be trading a bottle of Stagg Jr for, a bottle of Blanton's. But I don't know if I'd do that because I feel like I'd be taking advantage of them. But anyways, so how do you determine the values of these bottles? So like, what are like the secondary markets that people are like trading them and selling them on? So one great site is actually called Bourbon Blue Book. So Bourbon Blue Book will provide a low, medium, and high, basically secondary to trade value for those bottles. So that's like a great way to get like a baseline for what bottles you have, what values that you might be able to get for those in a trade. So the Bourbon Blue Book is a great one. Another one that I use is I'll use Unicorn Auctions. So Unicorn Auctions is an auction house where the individuals can go on there and then sell their bottles. And so that's also a great way to find, limited bottles that, might be a little bit more overlooked. Like for example, like the Bardstown Discovery Series, you can usually get those off of Unicorn Auctions for like around that $80 price mark. So you can usually save a little bit of money there because those aren't as widely loved, as other bottles. Like if you're curious, like what E.H. Taylor barrel proofs are going for, I know some stores will charge like $700, $800, $900 for those. But in my experience, that's not a realistic trade value for that bottle. So like going to Unicorn Auctions, and you'll see that those bottles are selling in like that, right around like that $400 mark. Also, when you're looking at the vintage of your bottle, is your release new? So like speaking about Stagg Jr, because it's a very commonly traded bottle, if you're trading like a 23B, that's not going to carry the same value as like a batch 12 or 13. Those older batches usually command like a little bit of a premium over the more recent batch because they're older, you can't find them anymore, so on and so forth. So that's kind of like a general baseline. And also, if you have a bottle that you're looking to trade, I'm telling you, you'll be surprised if you just put a posting on Craigslist and people will just come flooding in with other bottles out there that, they're interested in trading in. And you can even just put a post out there saying, hey, have this bottle for trade. Not looking for anything particular. Let me know what you think. So I've done that before and gotten some awesome responses as well. So anyways, let's just go into some of the bottles that I have been able to trade for. So first off is a Weller Antique 107. This is a store pick. So this bottle here, I had to trade. The guy wanted 2 bottles of Blanton's for it. I didn't have 2 bottles of Blanton's, but I did have an E.H. Taylor small batch and a bottle of Blanton's. So I was able to acquire both of those at MSRP here in Virginia. So I was able to trade both of those for this bottle. Now, Weller Antique is one of those bottles that has always eluded me. I've never found one ever in a store, at MSRP. I've seen them for $175, $200 and stuff like that, but those are museums, not liquor stores. Weller Antique 107 is a bottle that, a lot of people are always looking to trade for, especially on forums, because it is a fantastic bottle. But again, so like the trade value for these bottles, I feel like they're commanding closer to like that $125 to $150 like trade value. So like when you're looking at bottles to trade, like that bottle of Blanton's, closer to like $100 trade value, and then that E.H. Taylor small batch closer to like $100 trade value. So I was right in that wheelhouse for around $200, which this is a store pick. So people do like to think the store picks command a decent premium, at least in the trading world. So anyways, this was a deal that I was able to get done. Super stoked because I can never find these in stores. I was able to get a Stagg Jr. and an E.H. Taylor small batch. Now, absolutely love both of these bottles. I got really lucky this past year, and I was able to pick up like 3 E.H. Taylors in like the span of like 3 or 4 months. So that was unbelievable. That's why I did a giveaway for the channel, gave one of those Taylors away, and then I traded another one away. But always looking for an E.H. Taylor. So I got both of these. I traded one bottle of Joseph's Magnus Cigar Blend, and now this was like a little over a year ago, I think, at this point. So like those Joseph Magnus Cigar Blends, they commanded a little bit more of a premium back then than they do today. So I was able to get a Stagg Jr. and an E.H. Taylor small batch. So again, looking at the trade value there, the Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend, is coming in, I think, right around that like $250, $285 like trade-ish value range about a year and a half ago. And, the Stagg Juniors, I usually think of them right around that like $200-ish low 200s in like the trade value. And then these E.H. Taylor small batches, usually about $100 you can get in like trade value for these. So put them both together, right around that like $300 mark. So for me, I think I came out on top of that trade because these are both amazing bottles that I will thoroughly enjoy drinking, which you can tell I'm almost done with this one. But anyway, next up, probably the biggest trade I've ever done. Definitely the most bottles for one. So this is an Old Fitzgerald 19-year. I'd always wanted one of the Old Fitzgeralds, and I just had heard amazing things, and just always was throwing crap against the wall to see what would stick, hoping that I could get someone to trade me one of these bottles. Fortunately, found someone in Western Virginia that had one of these, wanted to trade, and I ended up coming off of 2 Stagg Juniors and then 2 E.H. Taylor small batches that I traded for that. So again, I was able to acquire all those bottles at MSRP here in Virginia. So like the cash outlay, for me was like right around $200. This bottle retails for right around like that 240-ish, dollar mark. In terms of, trade value, that was like, those Staggs around that like 225-ish range. So I was able to get, $450 for that. And then the 2 H Taylor small batches, so it was right around like $650. So again, I felt like I got a relatively good deal on this bottle in terms of trade value, because this, I think you can get close to like $700, somewhere in that neighborhood probably in terms of trade value, because of like how rare this thing is, such limited production. So, and it's the oldest Old Fitz that they had released. So yeah, I was really happy with that trade. I actually met a guy that I was doing a trade with the other weekend. He traded 2 Old Fitzgerald 19 years. He got a George T. Stagg and then a Thomas Handy. So again, he traded 2 of these for 2 antique collections. So that just kind of shows you kind of the value that people place on these bottles. I think he got an amazing deal trading these for those 2. But so values in the eye of the beholder. But anyways, this was the largest deal that I've ever done on trade. So Old Fitzgerald 19-year. Next, so I actually had already finished the Russell's 13 that I actually got in this trade, because I got a Russell's 13 batch 2 and then another Weller antique. So this was probably the highest value bottle that I traded. I traded an E.H. Taylor barrel proof and got both of these. I know you can tell from like my past videos, I got really lucky this year. I was able to pick up a few of these. But again, this was a bottle that I had been hunting for since they came out. So probably spent about like a year and a half trying to find one, and just struck out everywhere. And I heard it had like, that grapey note, at least that batch 1 had. And I tried, and I'd gotten that note off of a Coy Hill that I tried at a bar. So I've been chasing that flavor profile ever since. I heard that this bottle had it, and I just had to have it. So found a guy in North Carolina. I actually posted the E.H. Taylor barrel proof 4 trade. He messaged me back, and yeah, we were able to get this deal done. So we actually, had shipped the bottles, so that was pretty cool too. So things, there are good people out there in the world. So next up is a Jack Daniel's 12-year. Now, this bottle, there was a guy that was trying to sell this bottle for a very reasonable price for secondary value, I should say, But again, for secondary value, you're trying to sell this for like $230, and I, messaged him, and I was like, hey, I'll trade you a bottle of Stagg Jr. That's, right in there in that wheelhouse. And he's like, yeah, I've been struggling to sell this bottle, and, people seem to like to pay that higher price tag for the Stagg Juniors, much easier than this Jack Daniel's 12-year. So he did the trade because he thought that he could sell the Stagg Jr. because he was struggling to sell this. So anyways, got super lucky with being able to trade for this with a Stagg Jr. because this is a batch 1. I have one. It's almost finished back there. So this is one of those bottles that's just super special and just drinks amazing. So super stoked to have this, to be able to open this up, you know, probably around my birthday this year, because love this bottle. So anyways, Jack Daniel's 12 year straight traded for a Stagg Jr. And my most recent trade, another Stagg Jr. Now, yeah, when I traded those two away, you know, for the old fits, I was like, ugh, like, there went all my Stags. So, like, I have been trying to build it back because I do really enjoy drinking them. People that come over love drinking them, so love to have them because I do go through them relatively quickly for how hard they are to come by. Anyways, so got this Stagg Jr. I think this one is this is a 23A, and this is a Woodford Masters Collection, the historic barrel entry proof. Now, these bottles, you know, can be kind of hit or miss. I'm always hesitant to have like a super rare limited release, especially coming in at 90.4 proof. But my buddy actually was able to get one of these bottles last year, so I had a pour at his house, and I was wildly impressed by like the flavors that I was getting off of that pour. So I was like, if I ever had the opportunity to get one of those, I said that I would. He had one for trade, and it took us a while to come to an agreement on this. But yeah, so I ended up trading away another Joseph Magnus cigar blend. And then I did a Bardstown Discovery Batch 8. And then a Weller Green Label, so a Weller Special Reserve. So traded away a bunch of bottles. But again, you know, those Joseph Magnus cigar blends, I know so many people like absolutely love that bottle, and I just think that they're good. I just wasn't wildly blown away by them. I've had a few samples of other batches. I just finished one of the bottles, so you know, I've given that bottle a good over, and just the bottle just, you know, didn't hit me like like it does for a lot of other people. But I thoroughly love drinking the Stagg Jr., so I knew that I would, you know, enjoy drinking this bottle way more than I was going to of that Joseph Magnus cigar blend. And then this is a bottle that I've really wanted to track down, but just haven't had the luck. So I was super happy with this trade. And then just going back to like the value of that Joseph Magnus cigar blend, you know, he was like, he would only trade me, he would do it straight up Joseph Magnus cigar blend for the Stagg Jr. I felt like that was not necessarily the best of a deal because he was only giving me $200 in trade value. And again, he was going to, you know, Unicorn Auctions and then also Bourbon Blue Book, because I was like, hey, where are you getting your values from? So that was where he gave me his values. So, and these are, you know, pretty common that other people have used when trying to determine values. So anyways, traded 3 bottles away, but I was still really excited to bring both these bottles home because, you know, love this bottle and probably not going to see this one again. You know, you can probably see a theme here. I do really like Buffalo Trace. I do like the Staggs. The Weller 107, can never find them. I have to trade for them. Russell's 13, probably one of the best bottles that I've ever tried, in my opinion. Hits home perfectly. But these are the bottles, you know, that I've been able to trade for. You know, like, let me know in the comments down below, like, what bottles have y'all been trading? What values have you been seeing you've been able to get for the bottles in your trades? Where are you finding your trades? You know, I mean, it's amazing to have all these bottles, you know, but it's also really cool to be able to trade them with other people as well. So the more we can get this community together and get everyone interacting with each other, I think the better off everyone will be for it. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, would you please consider giving me a like? Would you please consider subscribing? And as always, this is Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner. And pop the bottles and share the pours. And we'll see you in the next one.